Well, I'm a minister here in Portsmouth, and also the mayor here in Portsmouth. I've been ministering and pastoring our church for 17 years.
Which church?
Kingdom Builders Evangelistic Ministries. Grew up here in the city. Actually, I was born in California, Kern County, California, Edwards Air Force Base. And my mother and father came back here when I was 6 months old, and I've been here ever since. So that's about 52 and a half years. And of course, been the mayor of the city of Portsmouth for 8 months now. Served on city council for 7 years.
So how is that, being the mayor?
It's challenging every day, day-to-day issues, but it's rewarding at the same time. You know, get to be able to see results and be a part of positive change and positive movement for the city.
How do you balance those two things, being a minister and being a mayor?
Right. It's a work in progress. You know, I think that, but it's more of a mentality that I have, that I'm really easygoing, and I don't really take anything to heart, you know, or personally. So it's easy to be able to adjust with the issues and be able to deal with them on a personal level.
Okay, so when you hear the word diabetes, what comes to your mind?
People getting sick, people, you know, dying. I've never, you know, some of the issues and episodes that I've had is somewhat related to diabetes, but as people tell me, I've never had any diagnosis of diabetes. People getting lightheaded, sweat, fatigued, and thirsty quite a bit, and that's what I know about diabetes.
And what's been your personal experience with?
Well, I'm lightheaded. I get lightheaded all the time. It seems like after eating and then taking a nap or whatever, laying down, and if I got up, I would start feeling the dizziness and the lightheadedness and seeing spots, things like that. Those are the things that I've experienced.
So do you have diabetes then?
I haven't been diagnosed, and I don't think I do. I see my doctor quite often, and they've never.
Okay, so you just had some symptoms that are a little bit like what you think might be.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone in your family have diabetes?
Not that I know of. I think my mother had diabetes before she passed, and but as far as I know, no other family member.
You seem to stay pretty fit, so.
Yes, no. Well, I work out every morning.
Do you?
5:30 every morning.
Is that right? What's your workout consist of?
I work out, lift weights, and I do some jogging, not much, but more weightlifting.
And being the pastor of a church, I imagine some of the people in your congregation have diabetes.
Well, we have a pretty young church. There is probably one or two that may have some diabetes, I believe, but not that many.
Okay. So it's not a problem that you address in the church yourself?
No, I haven't had a need to, no.
Okay. All right, so what do you think causes diabetes?
Poor diet, overweight, or should I say obesity, and I guess just not staying active and not being involved in the things, you know, get your cardios up and blood flowing and things like that.
So when you look around at the community, you know, and I don't know how much you get out into the hinterlands of the county, but I know you're here in town and you see a lot of different folks. Are you noticing that children on up through adults are much heavier than they used to be?
Yes, and especially the children. You know, I mean, to see 5 and 6 year olds being as heavy as they are, and it seems as though parents and their families just take it lightly and just seem to ignore without even thinking about the possibilities that negative impact, negative physical issues coming upon them. So yeah, it's more prevalent now than we've seen in many years.
And so what I'd like to talk to you about is, you know, we're really focusing on prevention.
Yes.
So we're interested in thinking about this not just from an individual perspective, what I can do, you know, not have that bottle of pop, but what can we do as a community to help prevent that problem?
Well, I think, activities such like the Life Center provides, I don't know if educational tools will be good, because a lot of people may have the knowledge but just doesn't apply or even exercise the knowledge. So I think more of group activities, having those opportunities available to the community, possibly with no charge, and not just short term, but even a long term thing that the communities can really become involved with, and allowing it to spring more into a personal thing once the group activity maybe comes to its completion or whatever. I think something will give people the mindset and the idea that, well, I need to do this for me, not so much just because it's a community thing, but doing it just for me, and being willing and able to actually just care for themselves on a personal level.
So as being the mayor of the city, one of the things, and you may be aware of it, and you're kind of new in this job, so I wouldn't expect you to kind of learn about your own area here, but a lot of the larger cities particularly are really focusing on walkability of the city.
Yes.
So that, and really coming up with themes or ideas of ways to motivate people to get out and get active.
Right.
I just wondered if you've been approached about that before or thought about it? Or?
Well, not as far as walking, but we've been approached about bike trails, and that would be a good opportunity, a good thing to do. Of course, along with a bike path, we could put together a walking path. But as far as that, I don't think that I can remember anybody has actually approached us on those type of things, on that level.
Is there any planning going on regarding a bike path?
Yes, there is.
Oh, could you tell me about that?
I don't know all the details. I met with a group about a month ago, and in fact, I think early last year there was a group that tried to get a path mapped out, and they ran into some kind of roadblock when it comes to some pieces of property that would allow them. And so one gentleman came to my office, and I went to another person's office, and I heard them talking about this idea, and I thought, well, if there was a map that they had started, maybe we can get it going, and get this group back together and work on getting a path mapped out in the city and moving forward from there. And this group does have that map, and they're working on it now. I don't know what the trail is as of now, but it's something that's coming about, and they're working on getting grants to actually get the trail paid for.
Excellent. Is it a group that we might be able to work with?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And if you'd like, I could get contacts of a couple of individuals I know that it's on there.
That'd be great. Maybe give that to Sharon.
Okay.
And because one of my concerns in communities is that we have a group over here doing this, and a group over here, and a group here, and we're all trying to work on the same thing, and we'd be a lot stronger if we could get together.
That's exactly right.
And because even though we're about diabetes prevention, things like a bike trail or, a nice walking place where a parent could take their children out to walk or whatever would be certainly a strength in thinking about something we could promote, for prevention and getting people active.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that sounds good. So that's already a gem.
That's good.
We're always looking for what's doable.
Right.
And this is a time when money is pretty tight.
That's true. That's true.
So has anyone approached you about the idea of kind of a Get Fit theme for the county?
No, not for a county-wide.
And you're the city.
Yes.
The mayor of the city.
Well, even in our church, there's a young lady, and Sharon knows her very well, Esther Dickerson. She's working with a group of ladies in our church, and they call themselves Faith Trekkers for Christ. And they meet every week working on cardio, fitness, and proper diets, and taking care of themselves. And so she's doing a very wonderful job. And we're hoping that it would, branch out into not only our church, but all the churches in the community, and spill out in maybe some other groups in the community, and maybe 14th Street Community Center with the youth there in our community, and just letting it, get maybe bigger than us. And she's doing a very good job with it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we'll have to connect with her too.
Okay, yes ma'am.
Yeah, and we're looking for ways to, it seems like in the rural Appalachian area, the churches are one way to meet people.
And that's true.
A different way.
One thing about churches here, we love to fellowship one with another, and then after, we do the church thing, then we always go to the restaurants. We like to eat, and maybe that's not a good thing, but the church is a good way of connecting and building camaraderie in the community.
Well, one of the things that we're very concerned about is that the rate of diabetes is just going up exponentially, and that unless we do something drastic, our children and grandchildren aren't going to live as long as what we are. And not only are they not going to live as long, they're going to live sicker. And because the numbers of people getting diabetes, it's such, the numbers are almost unbelievable. And the really difficult thing is that it's kind of like an iceberg. You just know the peak of the problem. You don't really know what's down below there. Right? So if you look around your church and nobody's talking about diabetes, but you look real close, you might be able to see that there's some people at risk. Right? Those people who are leading the march to the restaurants might be.
That's true.
Not always, but but sometimes those are concerns, and so finding out ways to educate people differently. In the past we've pretty much depended upon our doctor to do, or when we got sick to get the information.
Right.
But we really need some ways to get information out to people before they get sick.
Right, that's true.
And to begin thinking about how to get, basically it's so simple. It's just eat right and get up.
Exercise, that's it.
The messages are pretty simple, but getting people to do it and making it fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Making it something that's an enjoyable experience for people, I think, is where we're aiming for. So, one of the things that we're hoping to do this year is actually work with the churches some on a program called Diabetes: A Family Matter, so that we could actually engage some of your people, teach them a little bit about how to prevent diabetes, and then give them a little support. And let them, churches take care of the spirit, but we want to take care of the body and the mind, and
Well, I think in our church, we try to address the holistic man. Not just the spiritual side of it, but we even try to emphasize the physical side as well. So, because we want to, as I said earlier, we have a pretty young congregation. We want us all to remain healthy and strong, to be able to meet the needs, such as myself being involved in the community and having such a hectic schedule and being always on the go. But we always try to teach each other, teach one another to take care of you as well. So we emphasize it quite a bit.
Now, the African American community at large here in the community has sort of been divided. You've got your folks who are very much aligned with church, and then you've got another group of people who are sort of into other things. And I wonder if you have any ideas about how to reach. I know that your own community has been working within the community for a long time, but the substance abuse is a problem, and it's not just a problem in the African American community. It's a problem, period, everywhere. And I just wondered what you thought as a mayor and as also a minister about ways to approach that problem. And
I wish I had the answer to that, because as involved as I am in the community, and I've been in the community, involved in the community for, I'll go back to my Pee Wee football and baseball coaching years, so that's been about 25, 30 years. And it seemed as though we tried to push our community to get involved with the other community, and it's just so hard. It seemed like everywhere I go, it seemed like I'm the only one of our community.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to, even in churches, in some community activity, outside groups or outside activities, we try to emphasize, participating and networking with our counterparts, if you will. And it's hard, try to get them involved. Everybody wants to stay within themselves, and I don't think that's good for us as a community, citywide or in our neighborhood.
Sure.
So I really wish I could give a good answer for that. I've been trying to find that answer for the last 20, 25, or 30 years.
Do you think that the problem's on the side of your community, or is it the white community that's not so welcoming?
I don't think so. I think it's more so our community. I've found personally that the white community is very open, and they're embracing. In fact, they're calling, they're asking, they're begging for us to get involved. Mm-hmm. It's just that we just have our own mindset, and we like to stay in that cocoon, and I have no idea why. Mm-hmm. Because I enjoy doing what I'm doing and meeting people of different race, different culture. I enjoy talking and gleaning from those individuals. I mean, it's fun to me. Even though by nature, I'm a loner somewhat, but when I go out, I like to mingle with everybody, all kinds of people. So, and I think, the white race could really teach us a lot of things of their culture, and I believe that we could teach our culture as well if we're willing to get out of the box and really.
Do you have any ideas about? And I know that you've probably been thinking about it forever, but, from our side, we've been looking for ways to reach out to maybe do it different, some ways. And I think there are ways and times that the groups come together, and we have successful events sometimes, but then everybody goes back to their own.
And I believe, as far as the number of activities in the black community, we don't have as many community activities, and I think, with me, I'm knowing that all the activities that's going on, not just in my neighborhood but others, I make a point to go out, to learn, to be a part of, and I think, with the numbers of activities that's available, we need to be willing to go out, and because we don't offer it that much, so we need to go out there and participate in what is offered, and that's a way of addressing that. And it's hard for me to tell you all to come to ours when we don't have that many. Yeah. We can look at church, but well, who wants to come to church all the time? Yeah. And maybe like every quarter we may have a community picnic. Well, I mean, do we really reach out to our neighbors to be a part of us? We really don't. We expect ourselves to come out, but we don't expect anybody else outside of us to come out. Yeah. And that has to change. It's a mentality that needs to change. Yeah.
Well, it's been kind of interesting over the years to watch the public housing areas become very integrated.
Yes. There's a lot of people that have a problem with that. I mean, I live right on Waller Street, right? And it's right across the street is the Farley Square projects. And we hear people talking about how it's more whites than blacks. I mean, I think it's good, and we should embrace it. We can learn from them, and they can learn from us, instead of looking at it, because I think there's still so much prejudice and racism that's not only from the white side, but even from a black side, or from the African American side, should I say. But I think we need to break down those barriers and just embracing and just, it's our neighborhoods. I mean, it's our neighbor. And let's embrace our neighbors. That's the way I look at it.
Well, and with the problem of diabetes, it's sort of a double whammy in some respect for African Americans, because you're higher risk than Caucasians are for that.
Right.
You know, but then in addition to that, being here in Appalachia where we have such high poverty and social conditions that have increased the rates, it's even more important that we find a solution together.
That's true. That's true. And it goes back to really wanting to get involved, and I think involvements creates an opportunity for learning and being aware of a lot of things, and being able to embrace not just me but you and others.
In the state, the Office for Minority Health has quite a bit of funding and offers a fair number of small grants. You know, small grants being $20,000 to $50,000 during the course of a year for a lot of health-related programs, but because of health disparities,
Right.
you know, and this could be an area that really looking at going after some of those monies to increase programming.
Right. Okay.
Where in the African American community, but also to meet the needs of the Appalachian, the white folks that also are there.
Right.
It seems that the hope is in our youngest children. Sometimes it's hard to change the ways of us older people, you know.
That's the truth. But at the same time, our young people will now be able to get that hope if they don't see
Some modeled
the
behavior.
role models. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and so finding some ways to, you know, and you have, I think in the African American community, you know, you have a few people around that can be heroes if they would step up.
I even look at myself. And if I could share the story, I know I don't have, I can't tell the whole story, but, growing up, my mother raised 9 of us by the time she had 9 of us by the time she was 21 years old. And my mother and father was divorced when we were very little. And so she raised us by herself, and we didn't have money, we didn't have clothes, we didn't have food. And to see where I am now, and it's because of my desire to reach out and to go out and be a part of my community, not just my house, my home, but a community. This city is my community. I consider this city my community, and and we try to encourage everyone to be a part, because you never know what kind of role model you could be, what kind of position you could be in to help other people who might be where you used to be. And if they can see that you've made it, then they can feel that I can make it too.
That's a wonderful story.
Thank you.
And it's a story that young people need to hear.
Yes,
but they have to know you.
That's true. Yes,
Well,
if I could say this, they should know me because I'm out everywhere.
that was actually my next question. We have an African American. I teach at a high university in Athens, so we've had an African American president for the last few years. And one of the things that impressed me when he first came was he was out there on the first day of school helping students carry things up the stairs to their, not because he was a slave, but because he was the president and cared, And I just wondered if you actually go down in the community and talk to young people or.
Yes, we do. And I do quite a bit I've become mayor, became mayor 8 months ago, and it seems now as though since I've become mayor, when I try to do things, they won't let me because they seem to have put me on a pedestal, no, that's the mayor, you shouldn't be doing stuff like this, but I'm a public servant first. I'm just a neighborhood. I'm just your brother. Look at me in that way first. So that's where I've always been, and I will continue to be that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that and it's early, so you haven't been a mayor that long,
right.
So you still have, you got to build that reputation a little bit, right?
Right, that's true.
And sometimes we have to be around a while before people kind of give us that respect that we need.
Right, that's true.
But you're known quantity because you've lived in that neighborhood and you do pastor a church there as well, so that they can see you from a number of different perspectives.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, the Diabetes Coalition here in the county is just starting. We have a grant for 5 years. So we just finished the first year, and there's 4 more years of funding that'll come from the government, from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And Sharon's the leader for the coalition here in Scioto County. And so we're going to be looking for ways to partner with local government, with local health organizations, with schools, you know, because we have a little bit of money, but we don't have that much. You know, that is
every little bit helps.
Yeah, every little bit helps, and sometimes it's not so much about the money; it's about the community building.
That's true.
You know, it's getting people together. So, you know, if we could find out who's working on this bike trail, and we can all work together, and we become stronger.
That's true.
You know, and that we don't have to meet together all the time, but knowing what each other, what the left hand, knowing what the right hand's doing sometimes.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So, I don't want to take a lot of your time, but just in ending, I would just ask you if there's a final question. Is there any thing that you see way to get city council or the Chamber of Commerce or other local groups here to really begin to focusing more on this idea of prevention and being healthy, getting healthy?
Well, we do have our city health department, and we can always get them involved, and they do a pretty good job in treating other illnesses, community issues, and they would be a very much part of this. We'll see too, you know, that the city will support them in their involvement in this, and I think council will give that approval, the mayor will give that approval, because we see this is could become an epidemic, and we want to do all that we can to try to prevent that, especially seeing and knowing some individuals and people that we see in the community that could be affected by this disease. We want to try to do all that we can to bring a cure to them.
I've worked in healthcare,
Yes,
and you know, I don't want to say this on tape, but I'm not necessarily agreeing with everything we call healthcare.
Okay.
You know, there's an awful lot of it that has more to do with disease and illness than health.
Right.
Right. So I'm really interested in healthcare.
Right.
And when I say healthcare, it's really the whole person,
Right.
body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
And also means having a job.
That's true.
You know, it's hard to be healthy if you don't have a job.
Right. That's true.
You know, or you don't have something meaningful to do in your life, whether it's a job you get paid for or just something meaningful.
Right.
And so, you know, I think if we could find some ways to work together to make us all healthy in all those respects,
Right.
then the community as a whole will get healthier.
I believe that. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And I'll do all that I can to put my little 2 cents in and stay involved and you know, get this thing under control.
Well, we thank you. We have you on tape now saying that, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything in conclusion that you'd like to say?
Well, I just appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you and address this, and just to be a part of this. And next 3 or 4 years, and when this wraps up, we still want to be able to make sure that our people are safe and healthy and active in our community, and just bring about a holistic, healthy approach.
Thank you. I mean, I think this is about laying a foundation, right? It's something that can be built on for the future.
I agree.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.